The last person to leave after Dad's funeral was the first to tell me I needed to get out of his house. I stood in our kitchen, my childhood kitchen, watching Paisley adjust her designer black dress in the reflection of the microwave door. The same microwave where Dad and I used to heat up midnight snacks when I couldn't sleep. My name is Quinn, and I'd spent the last week crying. But now, staring at my stepmother's perfectly made-up face, I felt nothing but ice in my veins. "Darling," Paisley's voice dripped with fake sympathy. "I know this is difficult, but the will is quite clear. The house goes to me and my children. You'll need to be out by tomorrow evening." I gripped the counter. "Tomorrow? Dad's body isn't even cold." "Don't be crude." Felicity, my stepsister, sauntered in with a glass of wine. At 25, she'd already mastered her mother's condescending smile. "We're being generous, giving you 24 hours. Legally, we could make you leave now." The kitchen filled with the click-clack of more heels. Josephine, the youngest, lurked in the doorway, while Gerard leaned against the fridge, refusing to meet my eyes. "Show her the will, Mother," Felicity prompted, clearly enjoying the moment. Paisley produced a document from her designer purse, sliding it across the granite countertop. I recognised Dad's signature immediately, but the date made my stomach turn. 3 months ago, when he was already sick, when Paisley barely let me see him. "As you can see," Paisley pointed to a paragraph with her manicured nail, "the house and most assets transfer to me and my children. There's a small trust fund for you, of course. Your father wasn't completely heartless." "Heartless?" My voice cracked. "He was my father." "For 17 years, Felicity cut in. "Then he was our father for 15. Quality over quantity, right?" Gerard shifted uncomfortably. "Fel, maybe we could give her a few days." Absolutely not," Paisley snapped. "The decision is final. Quinn needs to start her own life, away from here." I looked around the kitchen, at the marks on the doorframe where Dad had measured my height every birthday until I was 16, at the dent in the cabinet from when I'd tried to make him breakfast in bed and dropped the pan, at the window where we'd watched thunderstorms together. "I'll need time to pack," I managed. "We'll have someone pack for you," Paisley said. "Just take your essentials. We'll ship the rest to whatever address you provide." Josephine stepped forward, her voice small. "Quinn, I saved you some of the photo albums." "Josie," Paisley warned, and the girl retreated. I stood there, surrounded by the family that had invaded mine, feeling like I was drowning. "Can I at least sleep here tonight?" Paisley's lips tightened. "Fine, one last night, but I want you gone by 6 tomorrow evening. We're having the interior decorator over to discuss renovations." "Renovations?" The word felt like acid. Dad loved this house exactly as it is. "Dad's not here anymore," Felicity said, taking another sip of wine. "And thank God, do you know how embarrassing these outdated curtains were?" Something in me snapped. I lunged forward, but Gerard caught my arm. "Don't!" he whispered. "It'll only make things worse." I jerked away from him, my voice steady despite the rage burning through me. "You're right. I'll be gone tomorrow." As I turned to leave, Paisley called out, "Oh, and Quinn, don't get any ideas about taking things that aren't yours. We've photographed every room." I climbed the stairs to my old bedroom, each step feeling heavier than the last. Through the walls I could hear them laughing downstairs, probably already planning which rooms they'd claim. Sitting on my bed, I pulled out my phone and called Julian, my oldest friend. "They're kicking me out," I whispered when he answered. "What? They can't do that. It's your dad's house." "Apparently they can. There's a will." "That doesn't sound like your dad," Julian said. "He wouldn't—" His words triggered something in my memory. A conversation from months ago, before Dad got really sick. We'd been in his study, and he'd said something odd. "If anything ever happens to me, check the safe behind the bookshelf. Not everything will be in plain sight." I sat up straight, my heart pounding. "Julian, I need to go. But tomorrow I might need your help." Hanging up, I listened to the voices downstairs. They thought they'd won. They thought tomorrow they'd watch me walk away from my home, my memories, my inheritance. But Dad had taught me one thing above all else: always have a backup plan. I waited until midnight when the house grew quiet. It was time to visit his study. The floorboard outside Dad's study always creaked. I'd memorized its exact location years ago, tiptoeing past it countless times during late-night raids to his candy stash. Tonight, I stepped over it carefully, listening for any movement from the other bedrooms. Silence. The study door wasn't locked. Paisley probably thought she'd already won. Moonlight filtered through the windows, casting shadows across Dad's leather chair, his collection of first editions, the chess set where he'd taught me to play. I closed the door behind me and clicked on my phone's flashlight. Behind the bookshelf, I whispered to myself. But which one? The study had floor-to-ceiling shelves on 3 walls. I ran my fingers along the spines of his books, remembering how he'd read to me here. The memories threatened to overwhelm me, but I pushed them back. "Focus, Quinn!" A soft knock made me jump. "It's just me," Gerard whispered, slipping inside. "Need help?" I aimed my flashlight at his face. "Why would you help me?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Because Mom and Felicity are being cruel, and because I saw Dad talking to his lawyer last month. He seemed worried." "What lawyer?" "Franklin something. Old guy, bow tie." I remembered Franklin Wise. He'd been Dad's friend for decades. "What did they talk about?" Gerard shrugged. "Couldn't hear, but Dad kept pointing at that shelf." He gestured to the far wall. "The one with all the poetry books." I moved to the shelf, examining it closely. The books were arranged perfectly. Too perfectly. "Help me pull it forward." Together, we gripped the edges of the shelf and pulled. It swung out like a door, revealing a small wall safe behind it. "Holy shit," Gerard breathed. My hands shook as I approached the safe. "What's the combination?" "No idea, but knowing Dad." Gerard trailed off. Knowing Dad, it would be something meaningful. I thought for a moment, then tried my birthday. Nothing. "Try Mum's death date," Gerard suggested quietly. I looked at him sharply. He'd never acknowledged my mother before. I entered the date, 03/17/05. The safe clicked open. "I'll keep watch," Gerard said, moving to the door. "Hurry." Inside the safe, I found several envelopes, some old photos, and a leather folder. The first photo made my throat tight. Dad and me at my high school graduation, both of us beaming, before he got sick, before Paisley took over everything. The leather folder contained legal documents. I skimmed them quickly, my heart racing faster with each page. There it was, a codicil to his will, dated just 2 weeks before his death. Properly notarized, witnessed, and crystal clear, the house was mine. "Someone's coming," Gerard hissed. I shoved everything back except the codicil, which I tucked into my pyjama pocket. We quickly pushed the bookshelf back into place. The door opened. Felicity stood there in her silk robe, eyebrows raised. "Well, well, what's this?" "Couldn't sleep," I said smoothly. "Wanted to say goodbye to Dad's study." "With Gerard?" She smirked. "How touching. A little late-night bonding before you're kicked to the curb." Gerard stepped forward. "Leave it alone, Fel." "Does Mum know you're helping her?" Felicity's voice turned sharp. "Because I'm sure she'd be interested to hear about this little midnight meeting." "Go ahead, tell her," I said, walking past her. "I'm leaving tomorrow anyway, right?" Back in my room, I pulled out the codicil with trembling hands. I read it 3 times to be sure. Then I called Julian. "I need you to pick me up early tomorrow," I told him. "And I need Franklin Wise's number." "Already? It's not even dawn." "Trust me, things are about to get interesting." A soft knock interrupted me. Gerard again. "I didn't tell them what we found," he said, closing the door behind him. "But Quinn, be careful. Mum and Felicity, they can be vindictive." "I know." I studied his face. "Why did you help me?" He was quiet for a moment. "Because Dad talked about you all the time when they weren't around. He missed you, and because—" He hesitated. "Because what they're doing isn't right." "Thank you," I said, "but this might get ugly." "I know." He turned to leave, then stopped. "Whatever you found in that safe, make it count." I waited until his footsteps faded before pulling out my phone again. The codicil felt warm in my hand, like it was alive with possibility. They thought they could erase me from my own home, treat me like an unwanted houseguest. But Dad had left me one last gift: the power to fight back. I dialed Franklin's number, watching the sun rise outside my window. It was time to show them what happened when you underestimated John Perry's daughter. Franklin's office hadn't changed in 15 years. Same leather chairs, same brass desk lamp, same bow tie. He studied the codicil through his reading glasses while I sat across from him, trying not to fidget. "This is legitimate," he said finally. "Your father came to me directly, insisted on updating his will. He knew Paisley was influencing things." "Influencing?" I leaned forward. Franklin removed his glasses. "Your father discovered that Paisley had been meeting with another lawyer, Marcus Reed. She convinced your father to sign a new will when he was heavily medicated, the one she showed you yesterday." "That's illegal," Julian said from the chair beside me. "Highly unethical, certainly." Franklin pulled out another document. "I have proof of the meetings and the medication logs from your father's nurse, but your father didn't want a legal battle while he was sick. Instead, he made this codicil." My hands clenched. "So the house is mine?" "Legally, yes. The codicil supersedes the previous will. But Quinn—" He hesitated. "Paisley won't leave quietly." "Good," I said. "I don't want quiet." Julian touched my arm. "Quinn, maybe we should just present the codicil formally, let the lawyers handle it." I shook my head. They humiliated me at Dad's funeral, made me feel like a stranger in my own home. I want them to feel what that's like. Franklin's eyes twinkled. "Your father would appreciate the poetry of that. He always said you had his spine." "So what's our play?" Julian asked. I smiled. "They're having an interior decorator over at 6. Perfect time for a family meeting, don't you think?" Franklin nodded slowly. "I'll arrive at 6:30. That should give them time to get comfortable. But Quinn, be careful. People like Paisley when they're cornered." "They bite," I finished. "I'm counting on it." Back in Julian's car, he turned to me. "You're enjoying this a little too much. You didn't see Felicity's face when she told me to get out, or hear Paisley talking about renovating Dad's study before he was even buried. I get it, but revenge isn't always— This isn't just revenge," I cut him off. "This is justice. Dad wanted me to have the house. They tried to steal it." "Okay." He started the car. "What do you need me to do?" "I need you to help me set up some cameras. If they're going to show their true colours, I want it on record." We spent the next few hours buying small wireless cameras and hiding them strategically around the house. One in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in the foyer. I placed the last one in Dad's study myself. At 5:45, I heard cars pulling up. Paisley's voice drifted through the open windows, talking about paint samples and modern fixtures. I texted Julian, who was waiting nearby. "Showtime." Paisley's heels clicked across the foyer. "Quinn, why is your car still here?" I emerged from the kitchen, smiling. "Just finishing up some packing. Don't mind me." Felicity appeared, followed by an elegant woman carrying fabric swatches. "Mother, shouldn't she be gone by now?" "I'm leaving soon," I said sweetly. "Just waiting for a meeting." "Meeting?" Paisley's eyes narrowed. "What meeting?" "Oh, didn't I mention? Dad's lawyer is stopping by." The colour drained from Paisley's face. "Which lawyer?" "Franklin Wise. Remember him? Dad's friend of 30 years. Felicity stepped forward. "Whatever you're planning." The doorbell rang. Gerard opened it, revealing Franklin in his signature bow tie. "Good evening, everyone," he said pleasantly. "I believe we have some business to discuss." "We have nothing to discuss," Paisley snapped. "I have the will right here." "Ah, yes, the will drafted by Marcus Reed." Franklin's voice hardened. "Interesting timing on that, given your husband's medication schedule." The interior decorator looked uncomfortable. "Perhaps I should come back another time." "No," I said, pulling out the codicil. "I think you should stay. After all, we need to discuss who actually has the authority to renovate this house." Paisley's face went from white to red. What is that? This? I held up the document. This is Dad's real final wish. Would you like to read it? Or should I have Franklin explain what happens when someone manipulates a dying man into signing away his daughter's inheritance? The room went deadly quiet. Through the window I saw Julian's car pull up, right on schedule. Felicity lunged for the document, but I stepped back. "Careful," I warned. "Everything happening right now is being recorded. How do you think a judge would view that kind of behaviour?" "You're bluffing," Paisley whispered. I pulled out my phone, showing them the live camera feeds. "Am I?" The interior decorator gathered her things quickly. I'll call to reschedule." "Don't bother," I said, not taking my eyes off Paisley. "I'll be handling all decisions about this house from now on." The next morning, I sat in the living room, pretending to sort through old photos while Paisley paced the floor on her phone. Her voice carried through the house, shrill with desperation. "Marcus, you promised this wouldn't happen? No, you listen to me. Fix this, or I'll make sure everyone knows about our little arrangement." I kept my eyes down, but my phone was recording everything. Julian had helped me download an app that enhanced audio quality. Every word was crystal clear. Felicity stormed in, still in her pyjamas. "This is ridiculous. We can't let her win." "Lower your voice," Paisley hissed, covering her phone. "Marcus, I'll call you back." I flipped through another photo album, pausing at a picture of Dad teaching me to ride a bike. "Oh, look at this one. Remember this, Felicity? Oh, wait, you weren't here yet." "Enjoy it while you can," Felicity spat. "We're contesting the Codicil." "With what evidence?" I looked up innocently. "The part where you manipulated Dad while he was on morphine, or the part where you kept me from seeing him those last weeks?" Josephine appeared in the doorway, looking uncertain. "Mum, maybe we should just—" "Shut up, Josie," Felicity snapped. "Go pack your things." "Nobody's packing anything," Paisley said firmly. "This isn't over." I stood up, stretching. "You're right, it's not. I'm still deciding what to do about the fraud. Franklin thinks we have a strong criminal case." The colour drained from Paisley's face. "You wouldn't dare." "Try me." I walked to the window, watching Julian's car pull up, right on cue. "Oh, look, help has arrived. I'm having the locks changed today." "You can't do that." Felicity lunged forward, but Paisley grabbed her arm. "Don't give her more ammunition," she warned. I smiled. "Smart. The cameras are still rolling, by the way. Every word, every action." Gerard appeared, looking exhausted. "Mum, can we talk? Privately?" "Not now," Paisley snapped. "Yes, now." He grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the kitchen. I picked up another photo album, but kept my phone recording. Their voices carried clearly. "This is insane," Gerard was saying. "We need to stop." "I will not be humiliated by that girl." "That girl is Dad's daughter, his real daughter." A slap echoed through the house, then silence. I winced, but kept my face neutral as Paisley stormed back in. Her hands were shaking. "You think you've won?" she seethed. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." "Actually, I do." I held up my phone. "That slap sounded pretty clear, don't you think? Wonder what social services would think about how you treat your kids." Josephine started crying. "Mum, please, let's just go." "Nobody's going anywhere," Paisley screamed. Julian walked in, toolbox in hand. "Everything okay in here?" "Perfect timing," I said. "The locks need changing in the whole house, every door." "You heard her," Felicity sneered. "We're not leaving." "Then I'll call the police," I said calmly. "I have the legal documents showing my ownership, plus evidence of fraud, abuse and harassment. Your choice." Gerard emerged from the kitchen, his cheek red. "Mum, she's right. We need to go." "Gerard!" Paisley looked betrayed. "No, Mom, look at yourself. Look at what you're doing to us. To yourself." Felicity grabbed a vase, one of Dad's favourites, and hurled it at the wall. It shattered spectacularly. "Perfect," I said, as Julian's camera caught everything. "That'll look great in court." "You bitch," Felicity whispered. "You planned all of this?" "Actually, you did. I'm just better at it." I turned to Julian. "Start with the front door, please." Paisley's shoulders sagged suddenly. She looked older, defeated. Fine, you want the house? Keep it, but don't think this is over. Oh, I know it's not, I replied. But here's the difference. I have proof of everything you've done. Every scheme, every lie, every manipulation. One wrong move and it all goes public. How's that for leverage? Josephine touched my arm. Quinn, please. I softened slightly. You can come get your things tomorrow, supervised, 1 hour each. How generous, Felicity spat. More generous than you deserve, Julian said, starting work on the locks. I watched them retreat upstairs, listening to their angry whispers and slammed doors. The house already felt different, lighter somehow. Gerard lingered behind. I'm sorry, he said quietly, about everything. I know. I touched his arm gently. You can come back too, just not with them. He nodded and followed his family upstairs. I sat back down with the photo albums, running my fingers over Dad's smiling face. See, I whispered, I told you I'd fix it. The sound of packing and cursing drifted down from above, but for the first time since Dad died, I felt at peace. The house was mine, justice was mine, and this was just the beginning. The next day, I sat in Dad's study while Franklin supervised the moving out process. Each family member had their designated hour, and Felicity was up first. The sounds of her stomping around upstairs made the chandelier shake. She's doing it on purpose, Julian muttered from his spot by the window. Let her, I said. Every tantrum is more evidence. A crash echoed from above, followed by Felicity's voice. Oops, was that Quinn's old cheerleading trophy? Franklin sighed. I'll add it to the list of damaged property. My phone buzzed. A text from Gerard. Mum's meeting with another lawyer, planning something big. Before I could respond, Paisley swept into the study, uninvited. We need to talk. Your hour isn't until 3, I said, not looking up from Dad's desk. This isn't about moving. She perched on the leather chair across from me. I have a proposal. Julian stepped closer, phone ready to record. Half? Paisley said. We split everything 50-50, the house, the assets, everything. I laughed. You're not in a position to negotiate. No, she leaned forward. What if I told you there are things about your father you don't know, things that could damage his reputation? The room went quiet except for Felicity's continued stomping upstairs. Are you threatening to slander my dead father? I kept my voice steady. I'm offering you a chance to protect his memory. Paisley's smile was razor sharp. Those last months he was confused, said things, wrote things. Would be a shame if those ramblings became public. Franklin cleared his throat. Mrs. Perry, I advise you to consider your next words carefully. Stay out of this, Franklin. She turned back to me. What's it going to be, Quinn? Share the house or watch your father's legacy burn? I opened Dad's desk drawer slowly, pulled out a small recorder. Thank you for that confession. Want to add attempted blackmail to the fraud charges? Her face contorted. You little... Mother! Gerard appeared in the doorway. Stop, please. Always taking her side, she hissed. No, he said firmly. I'm trying to stop you from making things worse. We already lost Dad. Don't make us lose everything else. Josephine appeared behind him, tears in her eyes. Mum, please, let's just go. A thud from upstairs made us all jump. Felicity appeared on the stairs, dragging a massive painting. If we can't have the house, we're taking grandmother's art. That stays, I stood up. Family heirlooms remain with the house. Family? Felicity laughed hysterically. You're not family, you're just the leftover from Dad's first marriage. Felicity, Gerard shouted, but she was on a roll. You think you've won? You think this makes you special? Dad only kept you around out of guilt. Everyone knows he loved us more. The room went deadly silent. Even Paisley looked shocked. I walked to Felicity slowly, calm and collected. You want to know what Dad really thought? Read this. I pulled out a letter from my pocket, one I'd found in the safe. His last words to me. Go ahead. Her hands shook as she read. Her face went from smug to pale. "What does it say?" Josephine whispered. Felicity crumpled the paper. "He's lying. He was sick. He didn't know—" "Read it," Gerard demanded, snatching the letter. His voice cracked as he read aloud. "My dearest Quinn, I'm sorry I let them push you away. Everything I built, everything I am, was always meant for you. They may have had my time, but you had my heart. Don't let them take what's yours. Love, Dad." Paisley grabbed the letter. "This proves nothing." "It proves everything," Franklin said quietly, "along with the videos, the recordings, and the medical records. Quinn, shall I call the police?" Josephine burst into tears. Gerard put his arm around her. "No," I said finally. "Just get out, all of you. Take your clothes, your personal items. Everything else stays." "You can't," Felicity started. I am. You have 30 minutes. Anything left behind gets donated." Paisley straightened her spine. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is." I sat back at Dad's desk. "Unless you want those fraud charges after all?" They filed out slowly, Felicity cursing, Paisley rigid with fury. Josephine paused at the door. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know." "Go with them, Josie," I said gently. "But remember this feeling. Remember what happens when you follow the wrong people." Gerard was last. "The letter? Did he really write that?" I met his eyes. "What do you think?" He nodded slowly and left. Julian started a timer on his phone. 30 minutes. I looked around Dad's study at the empty spaces where Felicity had already grabbed things, but it didn't matter. The house was mine. His legacy was safe. And my revenge? It tasted exactly like justice. The house felt enormous that night. Every room echoed with emptiness, despite still being fully furnished. I wandered from space to space, touching familiar objects, trying to feel triumphant. Instead, I just felt hollow. The doorbell rang at midnight. I checked the security camera. Gerard stood on the porch, hands in his pockets. "You shouldn't be here," I said through the door. "I know, but I need to talk to you." I opened the door but blocked the entrance. "If Paisley sent you—" "She doesn't know I'm here." He looked exhausted. "Can I come in, please?" Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. We walked to the kitchen, where I'd already cleaned up all traces of them. Their coffee mugs, their fancy tea containers, their pretentious organic snacks. "Want some hot chocolate?" I asked. "Dad's secret recipe." "With the tiny marshmallows? Is there any other way?" For a moment it felt almost normal, like we were actually siblings who grew up together, not strangers forced into a family. "They're staying at the Marriott," he said, watching me heat the milk. "Felicity's having a meltdown. Mum's on her 4th glass of wine. Josephine won't stop crying." "Not my problem." "I know." He accepted the mug I handed him. "But Quinn, there's something you should know about the day Dad signed that will." I gripped my mug tighter. "I don't want to hear—" "You need to." His voice was firm. "I was there. Mum told me to keep you busy, to take you to lunch, remember?" I did remember. It had seemed so innocent at the time. "While we were gone, she brought Marcus to the hospital. He was having a bad day, really bad. The nurses had just given him morphine." "Stop," I whispered. "He kept asking for you, but Mum told him you were too busy, that you didn't want to see him. She made him think—" The mug slipped from my hands, shattering on the floor. Hot chocolate splashed everywhere. "Don't move," I said automatically, grabbing paper towels, just like Dad used to say whenever we spilled something. Gerard knelt to help me clean up. "I should have told you then, but Mum, she has a way of making you feel like you're crazy for questioning her." "Why tell me now?" "Because I watched her destroy one family. I don't want to watch her destroy what's left of this one." I sat back on my heels, surrounded by ceramic shards. "There is no family left." "There could be." He met my eyes. "I'm not asking for them. I'm asking for me. And for Josephine. She's just a kid, Quinn. She doesn't understand any of this." "She's 18. "She's terrified. Mum's already talking about lawsuits, private investigators, digging up dirt on you and Dad." I stood up, throwing the paper towels away. "Let her try." Quinn, please, you won your house back. You proved Dad loved you most. Isn't that enough? Enough? I spun around. They tried to steal everything from me. They kept me from my dying father. I know. He stood too. And they were wrong. But this revenge, it's changing you. You're starting to sound like them. The words hit harder than I expected. Dad used to say something similar about Paisley. Bitterness changes people, Quinn, makes them ugly inside. My phone buzzed. A text from Josephine. I miss you. And Dad. I'm sorry. Gerard watched me read it. She means it, you know. She's different from them. Different enough to testify about what really happened with that will? He stepped back. That's what this is about. You're building a case. I'm protecting myself. No, you're becoming exactly what they accused you of being. He headed for the door. Maybe you did win, Quinn, but at what cost? The door clicked shut behind him, leaving me alone in the huge house. I looked around the kitchen, at the broken mug, the spilled chocolate, the empty chairs where a family used to sit. My phone buzzed again. Julian. You okay? Need company? I started to type I'm fine, but stopped. The truth was, I didn't feel fine. I felt powerful and empty all at once. Come over, I texted back. Bring ice cream. I walked to Dad's study, where his chess set still sat mid-game from our last match. I'd been so focused on winning, on getting revenge, I hadn't noticed what I was becoming. The question was, could I stop? My phone lit up with another text from Josephine. Can we talk? Just us? I stared at the message for a long time, remembering how young she was when she first came into our lives. How she used to follow me around, asking about makeup and boys. Tomorrow, I typed back, coffee shop on Main, just us. Sometimes I heard Dad's voice whisper, the hardest move in chess is knowing when to step back. The coffee shop was nearly empty when Josephine walked in. She looked smaller somehow, wearing an oversized sweater and none of her usual makeup. For a moment I saw the little girl who used to beg me to braid her hair. I didn't tell Mum I was coming, she said, sliding into the booth. Smart? I pushed a vanilla latte toward her, her favourite. You remembered. She wrapped her hands around the cup. Hard to forget. You used to steal sips of mine all the time. An uncomfortable silence fell between us. Through the window, I watched leaves scatter across the parking lot. They're saying terrible things about you, Josephine finally said. About Dad, too. I expected that. Felicity wants to sell stories to the local papers about Dad being abusive, about him playing favourites. Mum's encouraging it. My hand tightened around my cup. They wouldn't dare. They would. Mum's desperate. Josephine glanced around and lowered her voice. She's been calling Dad's old business partners, trying to find dirt. And this morning I saw her with Dad's watch, the one you always loved. She said she'd make sure you never got it. The silver pocket watch? My stomach dropped. Dad had promised it to me on my 16th birthday. Josephine nodded. She gave it to Felicity to hide. I'm not supposed to know where. Why are you telling me this? Her eyes filled with tears. Because it's wrong. All of it. The lies, the schemes. I can't sleep at night. I keep seeing Dad's face. How sad he was those last weeks when he asked for you. I reached for her hand, but she pulled back. No, let me finish. I heard them, Quinn. The day they brought that lawyer. Dad was so confused, he kept calling me by your name. Mum told him you didn't want to see him, that you were too busy. He cried. My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. Josie. I should have told you then, but Mum said it was for the best, that you'd abandoned us anyway. I believed her because it was easier than admitting what we were doing. A notification popped up on my phone, a security alert from the house. Someone had triggered the back door sensor. I have to go. I stood up abruptly. Wait! Josephine grabbed my arm. There's more. Felicity hired someone. They're going to the house today, while you're here. I was already dialing Julian. Where's the watch, Josie? The old tree house in Dad's garden. Thank you. I headed for the door. Quinn? Her voice was small. I really am sorry. I know, kiddo. I managed a smile. Stay away from the house today, okay? Julian picked me up around the corner. We drove in tense silence until he said, "You called the police, right?" "Not yet. I want to catch them in the act." "That's crazy. They could be dangerous." "They're not. It's probably just Felicity being dramatic." I pointed to a car parked near my house. "See? That's her BMW." We parked down the street and approached quietly. The security app showed movement in the garden. "Got you," I whispered, leading Julian around back. We found Felicity halfway up the treehouse ladder, cursing as she struggled in her designer boots. "Looking for something?" I called out. She screamed and lost her grip. Julian rushed forward to catch her before she fell. "Get your hands off me!" She shoved him away. "Breaking and entering," I said, filming with my phone. "That's a felony, Felicity." "It's my house too." "No, it's not. And that watch you're trying to steal? Dad promised it to me years ago. I have it in writing." "You have everything in writing, don't you?" She spat. "Little Miss Perfect, Daddy's favourite." At least I didn't have to drug him to get what I wanted. She lunged at me, but Julian stepped between us. "Enough! Quinn, call the police." "No," I said, surprising myself. "Let her go." "What?" "Go, Felicity, but tell Paisley this ends now. No stories to the papers, no more schemes, or next time I press charges." She straightened her designer jacket, trying to salvage her dignity. "You think you're so much better than us?" "No," I said quietly. "I just loved him more than I hated you." She fled to her car, tires squealing as she drove away. Julian helped me retrieve the watch from the treehouse. It was still beautiful, still ticking perfectly. "You okay?" he asked as I held it. "No." I traced the inscription Dad had added years ago. "For my Quinn, who always makes time for love." You did the right thing, letting her go. Did I? I stared at the watch. Or am I just tired of fighting? Maybe both. He squeezed my shoulder. "Come on, let's get you inside before they try something else." But as we walked back, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The real estate agent's heels clicked against the hardwood floors as she walked through the house. "It's a beautiful property. We could list it tomorrow." I nodded, watching her measure the living room windows. Dad's watch felt heavy in my pocket as I touched the familiar walls one last time. My phone buzzed. A text from Gerard. "Mum's being served with fraud charges right now. Thought you should know." Another message followed. "It wasn't you, was it?" "No," I typed back. "Franklin did it. Said Dad made him promise." The agent's voice pulled me back. "The garden is spectacular. That treehouse might need to come down, though." "The treehouse stays," I said firmly. "It's part of the rental agreement." She raised an eyebrow. "Rental?" "Yes, I'm not selling. I'm looking for the right family to rent to. Someone who'll love this place like we did." "Like we should have," I added silently. The doorbell rang. Julian opened it before I could move. We'd developed a system after Felicity's break-in attempt. "It's Josephine," he called out. She stood in the foyer, clutching a familiar photo album. "I brought this back. It's yours anyway." The real estate agent excused herself to make some calls, leaving us alone. "How's everyone taking the fraud charges?" I asked. "Mum's lawyer says she might avoid jail if she cooperates. Felicity's having a meltdown about her reputation." Josephine opened the album. "But that's not why I'm here. Look what I found." The photo showed all of us on Dad's last birthday. He was thin but smiling, one arm around me, the other around Josephine. Even Gerard was grinning. Only Paisley and Felicity stood apart, their smiles tight. "We could have been a real family," Josephine whispered. "Maybe, but we chose sides instead. I chose wrong." She closed the album. "Gerard told me you're renting the house out." "I can't live here right now. Too many ghosts." "Where will you go?" I pulled out a brochure from my back pocket. "Remember when Dad talked about that writing program in Scotland, the one he always wished he'd done?" Her eyes widened. "You're going?" "For 6 months, maybe longer." I handed her a key. That's why I need someone to check on the renters, make sure they're treating the place right. Me? You and Gerard if he wants. The garden needs attention too. Dad's roses won't grow themselves. She clutched the key. But after everything, you told me the truth, Josie, about the will, about the watch. That counts for something. The real estate agent returned, tablet in hand. I have several interested parties already, all excellent references. Show me, I said, but kept my eyes on Josephine. Stay, help me choose? She nodded, wiping her eyes. We spent the afternoon interviewing potential renters. A young family caught my eye. Their little girl immediately asked about the treehouse, just like I would have. As the sun set, Julian helped me pack the last box into his car. You sure about this? About Scotland? Yes. About the house? Getting there. And them? He nodded toward Josephine, who was showing the family around the garden. Them? I pulled out Dad's watch. I'm learning something Dad tried to teach me. Revenge feels good for a moment, but grace lasts longer. Gerard's car pulled up. He got out slowly, uncertainly. The roses need pruning, I called out. Think you remember how? He smiled slightly. Dad made us practice enough. Good, because I left instructions for both of you. Garden maintenance, house checks, the works. Think you can handle it? Together? He glanced at Josephine. Together, she echoed, joining us. I handed Gerard a copy of the key. Don't make me regret this. We won't, they said in unison, sounding young again. Later, as Julian drove me home, I looked at the final text from Paisley. You'll regret this, all of it. I deleted it without responding. She'd lost everything that mattered. Her reputation, her social standing, her control. My revenge had worked perfectly. But watching Gerard and Josephine in the rearview mirror, standing together in Dad's garden, I realised something. The best revenge wasn't taking everything from Paisley. It was saving what I could of the family Dad had wanted us to be. I pulled out his watch one last time, running my fingers over the inscription. The glass face reflected the setting sun, and for a moment I swore I could see him smiling. Ready? Julian asked as we turned the corner. I tucked the watch away, feeling lighter than I had in months. Yeah, I think I finally am. The house disappeared behind us, but I wasn't afraid. Sometimes moving forward means letting go, not of the past, but of the anger that chains you to it. Dad taught me that too in the end.